Hey guys, this is Shamanic Airwag Priestess here, and I had a bad allergy attack on my last attempt to record this video. But I wanted to make this video, and I guess you can call it a part two to the first video that I made. But before I start this video, I wanted to say first and foremost, happy Black History Month to all my brothers and sisters of African descent here in the United States, in the Caribbean, and Latin America, and pretty much all over the world because any child of the African diaspora, I want to wish you a happy Black History Month. And in that same token, I want to show my gratitude to this spirit that pretty much wants me to do it publicly. Some spirits like it to do privately. The two Orishas that are working on this situation want a private accolades. This particular spirit wants a public thank you, and I'm all for that. So this is the spirit, La Madama. I made a previous video about her, so you can call it like part one, who she was, how to serve her, her history, and things like that. So you guys are more than welcome to watch that video if you don't know who the Madama is. I would like to start by saying she's not Mammy. That is considered derogatory because this spirit is La Madama, the madam, the grandmother, the mother, the backbone of the Black family when we were being oppressed and sold like cattle, when our children were being oppressed and sold like cattle, when we were being whipped, killed. The Madama held us together. She had many children, and she sometimes had to watch her children being sold. And I cannot, as a mother of four, imagine watching one of or any of my children being sold or taken from me. And she was so kind-hearted many times. She took on children, other slave children that were not even hers, but needed a mother figure because either their mom died or their mom or their father was sold as well. And somebody had to raise the children. But at the same time, she had to put her own children or these children second to the master's children that she was forced to breastfeed and take care of. She's the same woman that there were times that the young sisters were raped by their master, and she knew herbs, and she would give them herbs so they could have like a miscarriage, so they wouldn't have to have a rape baby. La Madama was a healer. When they didn't want to pay for doctors, La Madama knew herbs, tonics, and remedies to heal her people. She was the one that would pray over and lay hands, speak in tongues, just by this touching you from a distance. You could feel that healing energy. She was the woman after slavery was done that kept the Black families together, that passed on wisdom, that taught them how to read, the community mother that took in the motherless children. She's a beautiful spirit. And I'm making this video to thank her, not only for what she's done in the past and what this court of spirit, because the Madama is many, paved the way for us today. We have come far and we still have far to go. And I got news on Friday, devastating news on Friday. There are certain spirits that I prayed to on Friday that I didn't even do that because I was so emotional. La Madama said, baby, don't worry about it. Mamita, don't worry about it. I want you to take a day to get it together. Give yourself some time. And then Saturday, you're going to do the rituals. I didn't know what rituals to do. If I needed to like count, I didn't know what to do. I was just so emotional by this news. So one that I really, really care about, like almost like was literally dying on Friday. Like the pictures that were sent to me, I was like, oh my God, I wasn't able to go down there and be with this person. economically at the time. Yes, like this weekend, nothing. So all I could do was pray, and I just couldn't even do that. And so I just cried that night, just cried. Friday, logged off Skype, didn't do anything for anybody. I just needed to, feel what I feel. And then Saturday morning, right before I physically fully woke up, La Madama, not only did she talk to me Friday and tell me it's okay, take care of you, she came to me in a dream. And she showed me what to do. And she told me, yes, this is a medical thing, but it's also a spiritual thing that's going on with this particular person. So, of course, this person in the hospital, they're taking care of the medical thing. You always take care of the mundane, right? So the doctors are with her. Other than my children, I love this person the most in the world, okay? Because she gave me life. She's my mother. She in herself is a Madama. My mother is, I don't talk about it much, but has a lot of African in her. She looks African, and she's of African descent. Her dad is Haitian. Her mom is Creole. Um, Mom has both African descent, Native American descent, and European descent, mostly Portuguese in my family. And like I told you, my mom grew up in Puerto Rico. Her dad had to escape from Haiti because of the person who was I guess I call it more of a dictator, Papa Dog. You guys can Google that. His life was in danger. He had to escape. But anyways, La Madama came to me in a dream, and she showed me, and I apologize, I'm very emotional, what to do and what to create. So I got my supplies on Saturday, stuff that I have here already. That's one thing about the Madama. She's very practical in her rituals, working with whatever's there, because this spirit's all about that. They worked with what they had. I did the spiritual bath she told me to do. My daughter did the spiritual bath that she told her to do. And all day, the spirits kept coming through and things like that. And then finally, the Madama came through. And according to the people in the ritual that were there with me, the Madama took over my body. She pretty much made the tools that were needed because I shared my dream with my daughter. So she's like, we have to make these tools. So I did the ritual through La Madama in my body. The specific way that she wanted me to do it. When I told my mom I was going to pray for her Friday, because she asked me, she's like, you're the only one of my children. I'm the only one that still practices, by the way. Other siblings don't. She said, you're the one that I come to for prayer because I physically, like spiritually, have seen you physically in my home. So basically, I'm astral projecting to my mom's house. And I feel like the only reason I'm alive is because you've been praying to the ancestors on my behalf. And that touched me. And we did this ritual. I took the 24 hours to kind of balance myself out so that I could send the correct energy out, like she told me. I listened to her counsel. Sometimes we have to listen to our elders' counsel, even when we don't know it's for our best thing. And I did this real ritual, and she just, she just kept telling me how sick she was and all these things. And I did this ritual, gave the offerings. I talked with authority. I embraced the black magic. And when I use the word black magic, I'm not using it in the derogatory way of sinister or evil. I'm using it black magic in the sense of black or African descent practitioners, African traditional religious practices and witchcraft and those kinds of things. So that's what I mean by black magic, the magic of people of color. That's how I use that term. Take back the word, And so I told her what I always knew, like there's power in the ancestors and knowing our lineage and the beautiful practices and traditions that they left behind that they sometimes gave up their life for or were physically assaulted for. trying to keep their African traditions alive and passing that on to future generations. That's why I always say I don't do spells on my channel, because the stuff that my mom teaches me, I have taught to my students and things like that, people that I know are serious, want to learn things. Because my family line, it took a lot. It took a lot for them to keep these practices, and some have lost their life, you know. But anyways, I don't want to get off track. So after we did the ritual on Saturday, Sunday comes. My daughter's boyfriend sitting on the couch. She knew that these rituals had taken place. He knew the severity of my mother's, how sick she was. And when I say sick, I'm talking about unconscious, machines are breathing for you type of sickness. Okay. Because she called me, like when she contacted me Friday, she was sick, and it got to the point where she lost consciousness. And my siblings were there, and I could not be there. And all I could do is just a ritual. I cannot physically go to her. That happens sometimes. So Sunday, I get a message. Mom's out the hospital. Doctors don't know how she went from being unconscious on Friday. Then by Saturday night, which is around the time we did the ritual, she comes to, still really can't breathe. And then Sunday morning, she's breathing. I'm not talking about asthma. I'm talking about they are literally pumping air. This thing is breathing for her. This thing is putting pressure so that this person can breathe. So basically, you're really not even breathing on your own. It's not the same thing as getting oxygen. Just trying to explain the severity of the situation. I did what the Madama told me to do. I did what the two Orishas told me to do. And healing has happened. This is just to give you guys a small example of how powerful these ancestral spirits are when they are revered, honored, loved, respected, and thanked, and build a relationship. When a spirit is actually in your court, that's why it's very important to know what spirits are in your spirit court. Because when a spirit chooses you to serve them, there won't be anything they don't want to do for you, as long as they're respected. And that just shows you one example of how powerful this Madama spirit really is. She has protected me from false friends. She has gotten rid of people, okay, men, people that want to use me. She has broken spiritual psychic attacks. She lets me know what's going on. Whether it's tough love, no, you know what I mean? Whether you want to call it whatever you want to call it, she lets me know what's going on. She is a loyal and protective and beautiful spirit. So if you are lucky enough to have this spirit in your spirit court, you should be proud. Don't ever let the image of the statue ever make you feel shame. You have to know that the people at the time that were oppressing us wanted us to be ashamed of this imagery, because even they knew the power of the Madama, the power of knowing our lineage, of knowing where we came from, of persevering and preserving our culture, the power of self-love and of dignity. So La Madama is not a mammy. She is not a mammy. She is not a servant spirit. She's not a spirit, oh, give me this, give me that, give me this. She has been through some things when they were alive, the Madamas. And the last thing they need to do is have somebody demanding them for things. There is a certain way that you approach this beautiful court of elder spirits, of ancestral spirits, with respect, like you would talk to your mother, like you would talk to your grandmother. And she will do what's best for you. And she will help you. As long as there's a mutual respect, and as long as you're not only going to her to ask for stuff, and then once you get it, the statue is collecting dust. So I want to end with this one thing. This period in time of the Madama is not that distant. Just to show how far we've come. I'm going to talk about my family line, my Madamas. I had medicine healers in my family as well of African descent. I am of African descent. And my great grandmother, on her birth certificate, her parents are not on it because they were not considered human. So it just says Negro child, and she was born in the late 1800s, almost the 1900s. And life was so hard for her. She gave birth to a mixed child. Um, my great grandmother was both of African and Native American descent. She pretty much thought that it would be better for her to make an arrangement with a man that was interested in her daughter at the age of 9 years old. We have to remember the time period here. They just had ended slavery. They were transporting people from the Caribbean to other parts of the world for basically slave labor. At this time, people were still being colonized in the islands. She thought it would be better to make an arrangement with a white European, Caribbean person, white and raised Caribbean in culture, I guess. And she basically, as long as he financially took care of her and the children and gave her a place to live, she became his woman, which we didn't know what age this arrangement was made until we started researching our ancestry and our family records. So we're talking about my great grandmother. So my great great grandmother did this to my great grandmother, and she had children in the 1930s. So at the age of 9, she was basically the property of a man in his 20s who had a real wife by the Catholic Church. Those white children that he had, those white Latino children that he had the full rights and citizenship in the island. While my grandmother, a woman of color, gave birth to his children, his 5 children, and was never legally recognized as his wife. He kept her somewhere. And they even had a name for these arrangements because a person of color could not marry a person. They can be their partners, they could be their lovers, they could be basically the concubines, but they cannot be the wife. My great grandmother was a Madama. My great grandmother was a Madama as well. My great 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 grandmother was a Madama. Like I can trace it back all the way to the mid 1800s. Because unfortunately the trail ends there because of the African diaspora. And she had children that she was able to pass off. My grandmother didn't want to pass herself off because she looked very Creole. But if she put on the right wig or strained her hair a certain way, she could pretty much pass somewhat with an exotic look. She finally decided to pass because she had no access to education like her other siblings from his real family could. And because she started to pass, because they had to have ID cards stating the race that they were, and that would depend what kind of jobs you got and your status in the community. And this is the Caribbean, so this also happened in the Caribbean, not only the United States. She got married at 16 to someone, a white Caribbean person. And for the first time, she was the first person in our family line that got legally married with all the legal rights of a wife. And her children were the first children that could read. My actual grandmother was illiterate for the fact that she had been a product of a mixed relationship because her mom was black. Whatever your mom is, you are. Her mom was Native. Whatever your mom is, you are. And that's why she made the painful decision of passing and pretty much not really recognizing her own mother. She had to leave her family behind her mother. She could not publicly recognize her mother. And my grandmother was a Madama. They had to make painful decisions in the time that they lived. And again, my grandmother was born in the 1930s. Her first child was born in the 50s. So we're talking about, it wasn't until the 1950s that the women and the men in my family were actually allowed to go to school. My mom and her siblings are first generation in our family that can actually read. So this root work, this conjuring, was what kept my family, like millions of family of the diaspora, going and moving forward. The spirituality, we didn't call it hoodoo or conjure it. It was just what you did. You went to church on Sunday and you work in the roots Monday through Saturday. And you're talking to ancestors and you're talking to these spirits. You're talking to the saints. You're talking to everybody. Because we did practice hoodoo, but we also practice santeria. We also practice voodoo. That's why I practice all three of them in separate rituals, which I talked about that. I don't mix and match all the practices. I don't do that. But yes, all these things are in my bloodline. These are the practices, the African traditional religion that the Madama comes from, because she's in more than one tradition, is what kept the families going. They birthed each other's children because they had no access to a hospital. And they did home remedies in order to keep that next generation going. So much love, light, and blessings. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you guys. And I'm still going to make that video on traditional witchcraft, but I could not let this month go by and not thank my beautiful brown, black, African American, Afro Latino, Afro Caribbean, anyone of the African descent I could not thank and pay homage to you. I could not let this month pass by without doing that. We must know where we came from in order to know where we are going. That was one of the most important things about her. She just loves to keep families together, protect. So again, much love, light, and blessings. Thank you so much for watching this video. And until the next video, I will be talking to you guys soon. And I'm going to try to get that video out. Still working on it. I'm still taking notes. I like to be thorough. And I'm really thinking it might be an actual series, like the Book of Shadow series, which I'm about to make a second episode for, or second part two of it. Anyways, much love, light, and blessings. Thank you so much for watching this video.